I wanted to jump on for a few minutes and talk about my word of the day, which is so often the case, is inspired by GOP silliness of one sort or another. And the word is mandate. Mandate. Every time a member of Congress from the the right hand party, uh, is explaining away or justifying some ridiculous act by either the president or the Congress, they talk about how President Trump has a mandate delivered to him by the American people, which is, which of course is bullshit. That is not the case at all. He won the election. If you want to, if you are someone who believes that there was nefarious doings by Russians, Iranians, North Koreans, or others manipulating, he got the most votes, or the most certainly the most electoral votes, which is what matters in the United States. Unfortunately, it still does. But when I think about the word mandate, a couple different things pop into my mind. I I'm about 45 to 47 years since my last Latin class. It's been a little while, but even if you're a Spanish speaker, mano, your hand, mandate. The word originally, before it was sort of common usage as a legal term and then a political one, is it was more something that was put in the hands of, which is really a delightful parallel to what's going on in the Trump administration, because so many people are putting so many things of value into the hands of Donald Trump and his family to curry favor with them. People from across the world are tripping over themselves to do that. So that is the first blush with mandate is delightful. I guess my second one would be also a, a wonderful visual, is I think of our illustrious Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and mandate for him means something entirely different. And I think of it, all the spare time that Mike Johnson has had since the Congress hasn't been working for almost the last 2 months, that what he might be doing is he could be refining, oh, I don't know, his grinder profile ahead of Mardi Gras. So with the mandate that the Republicans have, maybe you have a little extra time to work on pet projects, because you're not showing up to work. You're collecting a paycheck, but you're not actually working. So what are you doing with the free time? There's two, one for Trump and one for Mikey Johnson. So I'm delighted for both of them. But think about what Trump has accomplished in his two victories, and maybe the one loss in the middle as president. In 2016, we remember that he lost the popular vote, which means if this was a truly representative democracy, he would not have been the president. It would have been Hillary Clinton. And she didn't beat him in 2016. Hillary smoked Donald Trump in the popular vote. But because of the vagaries of electoral politics and just the way that our system is set up, it still matters because it's the law. That isn't something that Trump often says, that things matter because they're the law, but that's what we're dealing with. So until we reform that, until we do that really difficult um, task, we undertake this constitutional convention. We work with the individual states, or we elect people for the House and the Senate that actually do the people's work for them. They do the bidding of their constituents instead of just going to long lunches and taking a month off at a time. So, Trump's mandate, the first term, he had no mandate whatsoever. He lost the popular election. In 2020, Joe Biden beat him handily. It wasn't an enormous margin, but Joe Biden beat him handily. And then there was the Capitol and all of the silliness that we all have seen over and over on repeat for seems like for decades now. And then 2024, Donald Trump did win a the electoral college, obviously, and he did win the most popular votes, but he didn't receive a majority of the popular votes. Mandate? No. If we look at the history of look back to the first election in our country's history, the statistics would tell us that this is the um, I'm sorry, my phone is misbehaving. That Trump won the first Trump election was the third narrowest margin on record by electoral standards. This last one would put Trump in the top 10 by popular vote. So he did better. His popular vote performance was better in 2024 than 2016, but it would almost have to be because he lost in 2016. Every time I hear mandate, it just makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up a little bit because it's used as a justification. I haven't heard it quite yet in the context of Epstein files, raping children that the Republicans had a mandate to traffic in minor children. They haven't stretched it quite that far yet, but their behavior in that respect is kind of telling as it is. In any case, this was going to be short as promised, and I always break my promise on that in that regard. Wishing you all a wonderful Saturday, and we'll catch you either tomorrow or on Monday. I have a few bits and pieces coming in the feed over the weekend, one of which is some ruminations about energy. The energy component to AI is as important as the chips themselves, and that'll be out tomorrow or sooner. And also, I'm doing two different best of book lists. If people are looking for gift ideas for the upcoming Hanukkah and Christmas and Kwanzaa and the other ones that I will forget, then I'm going to do two lists. The first one will be talking about books not necessarily that were published in this year in 2025, but books that have been essential to my appreciation of literature that are also connected with our current times. And because that's just me, they will be almost exclusively writers that are known for an absurdist approach to literature. A little bit of mixed in with a little natural magical realism, I guess. But certainly, George Saunders will feature on that first list quite prominently because I guess he would be uh, I would call him my rabbi if I didn't know that he was Buddhist. But the thought leader in the world of absurdist fiction, professor at Syracuse, brilliant writer, and also has some works on the craft itself that are magnificent. Um, uh, so there will be a list of these books that have been very influential to me, but that I believe also speak to the time we're in, the absurdity of the time we're in, and also trend towards the short story, because I think it's important. That is, short stories are harder to write than novels because for OBV, as the kids like to say, that it's more compact and it has to be tight. So to be a brilliant writer and brilliant at short stories is doubly impressive to me. So there will be 6 to 10 books on that list, which will be in Monday. And then later on this coming week, I'm going to do at least between top 5 and 10 list of books from 2025. I only recommend books that I've read, not just highly recommended from lists and ChatGPT, etc. So I'll give the author the title and then just a short blurb about the book itself, but with the goal of spreading the good word, giving you some gift ideas, and uh, and in so many cases on a different level is that we can't forget the importance of literature and good writing because on the other end of the platform are a bunch of white Christian nationalists doing their best to burn the books, if not literally, figuratively, but I'm sure they're going to get to the literally soon. And of course, so much is digital and audio and otherwise now. But it was reinforced to me last week by the very impressive young Mr. Tallarico in Texas, who is a man who speaks passionately about his faith, even as he's fighting against the insane nationalist posse trying to tell people that Romeo and Juliet is bad for kids. No, Mr. Tallarico's closing one of his closing statements was "Lonesome Dove," a book that was very impactful for him as a young man growing up in Texas, and there are a lot of other examples of that. So we can't allow these fringe right wing lunatics I hate to say Christian nationalists, but they do tend to be in that sphere. But we can't allow them to do this to our children and grandchildren, that they would miss on the opportunity to read these consequential books, these building blocks. Whether it's George Orwell for me because it's me. It's Douglas Adams, but it's not. That's not a great literary work. But any effort to limit children's choice when they get to the library, which is the proverbial safe space for ideas at a young age. I loved the library as a kid, and I was incredibly fortunate to have a mother and father that built their own excuse me, had bookshelves and filled bookshelves with interesting books on a regular basis, and got my brother and I library cards, and we made a good use of it at some points, and ignored it while we were putting on helmets and running into uh, other testosterone charged individuals too. But I'm looking forward to sharing those two lists with you. And once again, wishing you a beautiful afternoon, time with your family, and I'll give one last plug. Whatever you can do on the my hope and prayer from Thanksgiving, on whether it's the American Red Cross, whether you want to reach out and try to give to the poor people that were so impacted in China. I haven't done that yet. When I do that, which I'm going to, even in a very modest way, um, because I couldn't think of anything more frightening, except Donald Trump in a gold office. I mean, really um, existential fear, if that's the right word, being in a tall, high rise residential building with the fire coming from below. Again, for me, it was just 9/11. I was not in either of the towers on 9/11. I was standing in a dentist office in greater Boston, watching as the second plane hit the tower. And it was, impactful for me. But it feels silly to say that when you're not directly impacted, when so many others were. But that, that so many years later, watching that at Oh Dark 100 last, on Wednesday, was just gut wrenching, because if you could think about what would hopelessness feel like to you, being on the, pick a number, 25th floor of a building, where every floor below and including 10 is engulfed in flames. Say no more. So, with that cheery note, it's been a pleasure. Wishing you well. Stay out of trouble, and we'll be chatting again soon. Thank you so much.